Hello, welcome back. My potatoes are doing amazing. Super excited to have them growing. Today I'm going to be replacing this fence. The front part has been open, so I just kind of stuck that weird netting stuff we found on there, but I got another fence that I want to put up so that the rabbits don't come in. We had some come and eat my tomatoes there in that second row, and then all but like 3 pepper plants. So we have to rabbit proof this. First thing I wanted to do was get this fence line just kind of cleared up so that I could see what I was working with. So I grabbed our weed whacker and started trimming along the edges. There was a lot of grass and weeds, so it was good to get it all cleaned out. This next step was to just start removing the fence. First I did this temporary one. We just found this netting on the property. I think it was used for the chickens to kind of shield them from above, but it worked decently for what I needed it to temporarily. So once I removed that, I started on the fence. There was a lot of roots and a lot of wood chips buried and kind of stuck in the fence, so this part was a lot harder and took a lot longer than I was expecting. The grape plant was growing through the fence on both sides, so that was more of a struggle than I was anticipating as well. So I took a break and headed to the other side, which was not any easier. I had to unbury it, and then I used the rake to kind of clear away as much of the wood chips as I could. That still wasn't enough, so I had to go and grab a shovel and then dig, I think it was like 2 or 3 inches underneath the dirt and stuff to get the fence out, and then that was still even a struggle to get it out. So this part definitely was a lot harder and took a lot longer than I was hoping it would. I found this little guy hopping around the grape plant, and so he was super cute, and so that was fun to see. I still had to dig under the fence quite a bit for the grape plant, but it was also kind of like woven into the fence, so I had to get it all entangled. I propped it up on the tomato trellis right there. I ended up pruning a lot of the dead wood and a couple of the live branches just so I could kind of get it all cleared out. I ended up having to just cut the fence around the grape plant, so there is a chunk of fence still in by the plant, but it was either that or cut out the whole plant. So I ended up just trimming around it and then getting the rest of the fence out that way. Now that the fence is fully removed, I'm able to do my new fence. So this one is 40 inches tall by 100 feet long, and I knew that was going to be plenty big for what I needed it. It came with the posts not installed, which is what I wanted because I wanted to make sure that I could get the corners right and tight and then fill in the sides. So I'm just weaving the fence post into the fence, and then I'm going to secure the top and the bottom. Once I finish with that, I will go around and fence in all the rest of it. here is the final fence. I'm not quite sure how it will hold up. It definitely was a lot harder and more work than I thought it was going to be, taking out that old fence. Eventually, I do want to build a nicer, bigger, permanent fence, but this will work for now in the short term. So we'll see how it goes. My tomatoes are finally big enough to start pruning, so that's what I'm doing here. My main goal is to clean any suckers or any big branches from the bottom, I'd say 6 to 8 inches. This helps with airflow. It triggers the tomato plant to start growing upwards instead of out into like bushier ones. So with this one, this is a grape tomato, I believe, and so this is an indeterminate, so that means it'll just grow forever. It'll get really tall. So that's what I want it to focus on, is growing up and not out. I love putting our tomatoes on cattle panels for trellises. I think it's been the easiest and best way to plant as many as we do and keep it mostly contained. So I tie them up with twine, which is really easy to just cut off at the end of the year. And so that helps just kind of hold them up. So again, now on this plant, I'm just clearing up the bottom, making sure that nothing's kind of in the way, getting rid of any crazy branches and suckers that come out the sides, and then I will be tying it up and then moving down the line. The rest of the tomatoes in this row and the other row are Midnight Romas, which are my favorite. They are a determinate type of tomato, so they only grow to a certain height, and then once they get to that height, then they stop growing, and then that's when they more bush out. So at the beginning of the year, I want to encourage that upward growth so that they get as tall as they can, so that when they start flowering, they can use more of their energy to creating bigger and more tomatoes, which is what we want. Here is the orange bell pepper plant that survived getting eaten by the bunnies. And then the small one is my paprika plant. I'm hoping that one kind of bounces back. And my potatoes are doing so well still. Really excited. The ones on the right are the red potatoes, and the ones on the left are the russets. The russets had some pretty little flowers, so I'm hopeful that they are growing really well.
Whoa, there's one right here.